Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Hangar Talk podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the F-8F Bearcat. Now, the F-8F Bearcat is a really cool aircraft, and it's one of my personal favorites. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it today for our 8th episode of the Hangar Talk podcast. The Grumman F-8F Bearcat is an American single-engined, carrier-based fighter aircraft introduced in late World War II. It served during the mid-20th century in the United States Navy, the United States Marine Corps, and the air forces of other nations. It was Grumman's last piston-engine aircraft. Its engine type is a Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engine. Its top speed is 455 miles per hour. Its weight is 7,070 pounds. It's manufactured by Grumman, as I said earlier. Its wingspan is 36 feet. It was introduced in 1945 and was used during late World War II, kind of when the war was kind of starting to wrap up, if you could say it like that. And it had a range of 1,105 miles. Its empty weight was 7,070 pounds, and its gross weight was up to 12,975 pounds. So theoretically, the R2800 is used by a lot of engines aircraft, like the F-6F Hellcat, for example, that was kind of starting to get production during World War II, as well as the F-4U Corsair that was used in World War II and then the Korean War later on. Actually, a fun fact, the F-8F Bearcat was not used in the Korean War at all. It never saw action during World War II. Although they were flying it in the movie Devotion just to get a feel for it, in the movie, the plot of the aircraft the Corsair was a better option for the close air support mission they were going to go fly on later on during the movie. So the Bearcat never flew during during Korea. It only flew during late World War II, and it was eventually kind of replaced by the Corsair for close air support missions. So the max speed of the aircraft is 421 miles per hour. It's max speed is 421 miles per hour. At 19,700 feet. Its cruise speed is 163 miles per hour. It has a 4,500 climb rate. Its max ceiling is 38,700 feet, and it has a range of 1,105 miles. It has an armament of 4 50 caliber machine guns and 4 20mm cannons on the F-8F-1B variant of the airplane. So in 1943, Grumman was in the process of introducing the F-6F Hellcat, powered by the Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engine, which provided 2,000 horsepower. The R2800 was the most powerful American engine available at that time, so it would be retained for the G58-58. This meant that improved performance would have time to come from a lighter airframe. To meet this goal, the Bearcat's fuselage was about 5 feet, 1.5 meters shorter than the Hellcat, and was cut down vertically behind the cockpit area. This allowed the use of a bubble canopy, the first to be fitted but to a U.S. Navy fighter. The vertical stabilizer was the same height as the Hellcats, but had an increased aspect ratio, giving it a thinner look. The wingspan was 7 feet, 2.1 meters less than the Hellcats. Structurally, the fuselage used flush riveting and spot welding. With a heavy gauge 320W aluminum alloy skin suitable for carrier landings. Armor protection was provided for the pilot, engine, and oil cooler. The Hellcat, on the other hand, used a 13 feet 1 inch or 3.99 meters 3-bladed Hamilton standard propeller. A slight reduction in size was made by moving to a 12 feet 7 inches or 3.84 meters Aero Products 4-bladed propeller. Keeping the prop clear of the deck required long landing gear, which combined the shortened fuselage gave the Bearcat a significant nose-up profile on land. So the Corsair actually had no room, so the seat was kind of pushed down a little bit, so it was harder for pilots to see on carrier landing. Just like But the Bearcat had a more nose up, which was a good advantage on carrier landings, so it could see what was outside while landing on the aircraft carriers back in the Korean War. This was the case in the movie Devotion, with Jesse Brown explaining that he couldn't see out of the Corsair like he did in the Bearcat. So it was a really good advantage on the Bearcat. So the hydraulically operated undercarriage used an articulated trunnion that extended the length of the oleo legs when lowered. As the undercarriage retracted, the legs were shortened, enabling them to fit into a wheel well, which was entirely in the wing. An additional benefit of the inward retracting units was a wide track, which helped counter propeller torque on takeoff and gave the F-8F good ground and carrier deck handling. The F-8F prototypes were ordered in November 1943 and first flew on August 21st, 1944. And a mere 9 months later, the first production of the aircraft was delivered in February of 1945. And the first squadron, Fighter Squadron 19, or VF-19-19, was operational by May 21st, 1945, but World War II was over before the aircraft saw combat service. After the Bearcat retired, a lot of them saw action as air racers, if you guys didn't know about that. And that was also the case of some other aircraft like the P-51 Mustang and the F-2G Super Corsair. And a lot of jets like the L-39, the T-33, and then a lot of other jets were used during racing. This was also the case for the P-51 and the Corsair, and many other World War II/Korean War aircraft. Bearcats have been long popular in racing. A stock Bearcat flown by Mira Slovak and sponsored by Bill Stead took a victory in 1964 at the first ever Reno Air Races, which sadly this year was the final year of the Reno Air Races, unfortunately. So I never got the chance to go, but maybe if they continue it at a different airport, I would love to eventually go in the future. I just wanted to say that, and thank you to everybody at Reno for all their hard work over the past years that they've had it. So Reno was really great, even though I've never been there. I hope everybody who was there at the last year enjoyed it. And yeah, so everybody, that was our episode on the F-8F Bearcat. We hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on your notifications, and we'll see you all next week for another episode of the Hangar Talk podcast. So long for now, everybody.